Let's start today's class. So yesterday we were discussing about pods, right? How to create pods, what is pods, what are those, how to create them, how to manage those pods. So is it clear? And any doubts, in pods, how to create pods, how to write this manifest file, the ML file which you have written yesterday? Anything?
Not no.
Okay. Then we'll go for the next topic. Let's start. The next topic is called replication controller. So replication controller. We'll see what is that. Let me start. Let's say I have pod. Okay, YAML file is there. This is the pod one. So it will just create one pod, but of course two containers inside one pod. So let's create the pod. I told you what is the difference between test and create. Unchanged. Okay, I guess it's running. Okay, it's running. So if I delete the pod, let's say now I created the this pod through file, right? I written a manifest file and created it. So we can delete through the file itself. I mean, kubectl will delete -f that test.yml file. We can delete it, or let's say we can delete like this also. This pod slash test. It will delete. See, it's gone. But the thing here is, if you create your resources via manifest file, you need to delete your resources via manifest file only, because that's the proper way of doing it. The way how you start it, you take down it as in the same way. So usually what happens is, like, let's say here we are running single pod, correct? And I deleted the pod by command, not through manifest file. If you observe, right, delete something, you should not accept that, right? You should say to me like, hey, you created this through manifest file. Delete that through manifest file. Why you're doing this? Yeah, sorry, 1 minute. Sorry. Why you're deleting this through a command. And one more thing is, like, I told you, like, Kubernetes will try to maintain the pods, the desired state. I mean, like, if I say, hey, I want 5 pods, it will maintain those 5 pods. But what's happening here? I created one pod and I'm deleting it. It's not recreating. Of course, if you delete in the right way, delete -f the whatever the manifest file, we are deleting the resource completely. So it's good. But we are deleting in a different way, right? And we created through ML and we're deleting through command, normal command. So we should not allow that. But where is the maintain here? I mean, desired state, where we are maintaining it. So what's happening here is, I mean, it's not wrong or something. Usually we'll be creating a pod. It means it's a standalone pod. It does not belong to anything. Just one pod we are creating. For that, in this pod object, I mean, whatever the kind we are using, right, in test. So this one, we're just creating the pod. So this kind does not have this desired state maintenance and everything, because we're just creating one pod. If you delete it, will gone. There is no high availability for this one. To overcome this, there are multiple other things in Kubernetes. where we can able to use those things to create the pods. Just like, we can run with Docker run, right? We can create a container. But we use Docker Compose, we use Docker Swarm. Why? Because of the advantages those brings to us, correct? Similarly here, there are multiple things where we can able to create the pod. Same thing. Whatever here we have written two containers, we can create the same thing with multiple things. So usually kind, right? Pods. We call these objects. Pod is one of the object. I told you now replication control. I told something. What is that? I haven't discussed it, but some name I told. That is one of the object. We call them objects. So there are multiple objects to do the same task. You have to choose out of them whichever is suitable for you. So pod is one of that. Just creates a standalone pod, but does not provide the features which we are expecting from Kubernetes. That's why we have multiple other things. Out of the one thing is replication controller. Replication controller. It's actually an object, or you can call it resource. Both are fine. So in this resource, what happens is we'll we'll specify how many number of pods we want. In the kind pod, we did not specify anything. It's just single pod. There is no option to specify at all. So we have to create only one pod. But I want 5 or 10 maybe. So that's where this replication controller comes. So these we have to define the number. Hey, I want 5 pods. So it will create 5 pods and we'll try to maintain the 5 pods no matter what. Let's say 5 pods are running. I deleted one, accidentally. Let's say it will recreate the pod. It will create one more pod in that place, whatever the deleted pod. So it try to maintain the desired state. That's what replication control is about. Got it? So here what happens is like, I mean, how to do we on what are the things in there? Nothing. Similar to like this, we'll create a manifest file. Sorry, my cold. So we'll create a manifest file similar to pod, and it will create it for us. Simple. Let's try. That's it. I mean, that's what about replication controller. In replication controller, what it will do just to create pods, we use replication controller. But what is the advantage? I mean, why we are using all those things? Because replication controller maintains the design number of pods whatever we requested. Got it? That is the difference. Let's try. Let's write the structure maybe somewhere here. There is an official website called ML linked ML validator. Yeah, you can write you know here and just simply take that. Let's write here. Hope you can see my screen. Let me increase the size. Yeah, is it better now? Is it better? Of course, API version is mandatory. In this API version also V1 only, so it's fine. Now, kind. What is the kind? We are creating replication controller, right? Replication controller, yes. Now, obviously, metadata. What is the name? Test RC. RC means replication controller. So until this, it's common, correct? You know that we also wrote that yesterday. It is very common. This is has to be mentioned everywhere, no matter what you are creating. Pod, replication controller, blah blah, something else. These are all fine. This also will be default. Let's copy this. Here is it. Yeah, correct. This also will be common. Let's copy that. Paste. We are creating pods through replication controller. So for pods, we need to define the containers. What are the containers has to be inside the pod. So this is correct. And this is replication controller, obviously. These two sections are, we know this already. But there are two sections in between these. So, I mean, one section is here. I mean, within that there are two. The one section is for specification. You may ask, okay, we have spec right here already. Why the spec again? This spec with container names, this is called container spec, container specifications, because we are defining the specifications for containers. Correct? If you want to create a pod, you have to define the container specification, like what the container's port number, just like how you can see there. The above spec, the first spec, after writing metadata, this is for replication controller specification. We have to define information about replication controller. What I told, like replication controller creates multiple pods, and it will try to maintain that. Where I mentioned the multiple pods, I mean, I want this number, 5 number, something like that. Where I mentioned here, no, here also no. Here I'll mention in this specifications. Enter replicas. Let's say 3 as an example. This is the where we define the number. Got it? It's not over yet. There is one more thing called selector. Sorry. This is very important. Selector. What we are doing here is replicas, okay, how many number of replicas you want. Okay, that's fine. Now, what is this selector? I told you it's very important. What is this? Selector is a label selectors, we usually call it, or selectors. What happens is like these selectors used to identify which pods are managed by this controller. So now let's say now what happens is I reply, I created the replication controller now. Kubectl apply something, and it's created 3 pods. How does we know that the pods are created by replication controller? How? You don't know, because there won't be any specific name for the pods. The pod name will be something random, something. How does you know I have 10 pods? Out of that, 5 created by replication controller RC. I'll say it RC. So now, how does you figure out, okay, that is created by replication controller? Out of the 10, 5 are there, right? How do you figure out that? You don't know. To identify that, we use these selectors and labels. If there is a label for the pod with app is equal to test, then that pod is created by RC, replication controller. This selector is used to identify the pods. This selector will play a major part in the next classes, but for now, it is just used to identify which pods are managing by this RC, whichever we created. That's how you identify, because you'll give a label. Of course, that's how we got the names, right? If you're in a class, how do you identify yourself? Through name or through roll number? Because that's the label for you. We gave a label for some nickname, friends or something like that. Similarly here also, RC will be creating pods, but how to identify? We give this label. We usually call it labels and selectors, or simply call it selectors. Anything is fine. Correct? Now, if you observe, okay, this is common. I'm creating RC. Some name for that. Specification for RC. How many to create? What is the name of? What is the labels for the RC? I mean, RC label means that RC label will be applied to the pods, obviously. Next, one more thing is here called template. Template. What is this template? Template is a pod template. See, if you see here, sorry, one minute. Kind pod, I gave metadata, correct? The pod name. But here, where is the pod name? I did not. These are container names. Test one container names. But where is the pod name? These are RC name. I mean application controller name. Where is the pod name? This is not there. Correct. So we'll have to define the pod name. Metadata. What is the name of the pod? Anything, maybe name colon my pod. I mean, just an example. You can give anything. So it's fine. And now we have to give the labels also. Labels. Let me write the label first, then I'll tell you. Where is it? Yeah. LABEL, app colon what is the test? No, sorry, metadata. So yeah, this one. Now check the template. This is called pod template, where we used to define the characteristics, of a pod. Of course, first thing is we define the name. You know this already. But what is this labels? And why I gave app test similar to the selector here. These two, sorry, the label, the selectors which we are using for the RC and the labels which we are using for the pod should be matched. Then only, like, we'll know, okay, this is created by RC. This pod is created by RC. Got it? If you don't give that, it does not understand. It does not understand what is it. So a pod template is mandatory. Pod template is nothing but define the information about the pod. Simple to keep it here. Whatever I wrote here, I just written there. Except a new label came. This gone. That's it. Remaining all came. Correct. And of course, indentation wrong is there, but forget about it. Let me just. Oh, I can't use. It has to be inside, right? Like this. Don't worry. If there is any error, we'll check the syntax. We can't use tab here. I told you that ML while writing this one. Docker Compose, I told you. You cannot use tabs because ML does not accept tags. That's why I'm doing on my one line. Okay, valid ML. What the hell? Oh, sorry. Yeah. So this is our final file. Replication controller to create a replication controller. Sorry. This is common. Kind is what we are creating. And sorry, this one. Spec is specification for the RC. Like what is it? What are specifications? RC will just create multiple pods and maintain them. So first thing you have to define how many pods you want to create. This is one, right? And another thing is like what is the label that you need to apply to the pods which are created by RC. And this one, sorry, template, the pod template. Here we'll define the specifications for the pods. So what is the name of the pod? and what are the labels for the pod. As I told you, labels in the template, I mean pod template, and the selectors within the spec of RC should be matching. The label should be matching for the whatever the service we are creating and the pod template. So then only it will consider as okay, this is my pod, and it will manage them. And after pod template, obviously we have to define the containers, what containers we want. So we define it, container spec. So if you any service, in coming classes, anything, there are I told you multiple things are there, multiple resources to create pods and to manage them. Anything it can be, all changes will be only at this level. These are below template and spec. This is pod template, obviously. This is container spec, which is required for the pod. This won't change. This format won't change. Only changes happens on top based on the kind. Remaining pod template and the container spec will be same because this is pods that we are creating. This won't change. Maybe the image might change, the port number might change, but the format won't change. Here we'll change the kind based on the kind. Spec may change a little, not really too much. Right, correct. So that's what we are doing. So now that is our replication control file. Simply copy it. Sorry, copy, and of course it's valid. Go here. I'm sure yes. Session got expired. Let's wait a minute. Okay, cool. Now vi rc dot well, yes, cool. Now let's apply it. Kubectl apply hyphen f rc. There is command called hyphen dry run. Let's see if it works. What it will do is it won't create anything. It'll just show you what will happen. Like it'll dry run means it will run without actually running. Like let's say if there are some syntax errors, I don't know right what syntax errors are there. If you do dry run, it will show you because you'll try to execute the file without creating anything. It will show the errors. Of course, dry run is deprecated. It seems you have to use dry run is equal to client. Let's try that like this, but it's not actually created. Now let's remove the dry run. Let's create the RC. Now it's created. Kubectl get RC. RC means replication controller. If you see here, test RC, that's our name. And desired we requested for 3, current 3, ready 0, ready 3 now. Just 15 seconds. The pods are created. You can check like this also. Kubectl get pods. See the pods are there. Test RC, test RC. See. 2 containers obviously is there. Tomcat and Nginx we have. See, it's running. I told you right, we're just creating the pod, not anything with the RC. We're just creating the pods. And now why we are creating? Do you remember the reason? Because if I delete one pod out of it, it will recreate that it seems. That's what they mentioned. Let's try. Pod, yes. Deleted. See, it's created again. 5 seconds. It's automatic. I didn't do anything. Why? Why it's created? Because in the manifest file we told, hey, I want 3. I don't care what you do. I just want three pods to be running always. That's why it is like this. But of course, if you delete completely replication controller itself, the replication controller itself is gone. So now it won't recreate it. But out, let's say replication controller is running. I mean, it's created, it's running, and out of this three, if we delete something, it will create. If you delete the replication controller itself, it cannot do anything. Without source, how can it work, right? Correct. That's how replication controller works. It will try to maintain the desired number of pods. Got it? To maintain the desired number of pods. That's about replication controller. Any questions so far? Let's create the RC again. So let's try this. What is the label of this RC? App test. Correct? App test. V8 pod. Sorry, V8 test. You can define labels here also, just like how we define labels. Like this, you can define no worries. App colon something, whatever that is. kubectl apply hyphen f pod test hyphen drive run is equal to client. Sorry, did you mean apply? Sorry, my bad, my bad. So it will throw. I mean, you can figure out the error obviously. Created dry run, so no issues with my I created the pod kubectl get. So now if you observe, three pods are running. Where is the pod I created? I created the same pod, right? Where is it? Let me change. Let me do one more change. I'll tell you then later. Apply created. Now it is showing, but earlier it didn't show. Let's try that again. It is simply I go here in the metadata. I'll add some label. What is the label? App colon test I added. Just to we can add label here, no problem. Apply configure. Let's see. It's terminating, but not creating new pod in any new pod. If you observe here, why? Why? Because here there is a label called app test, correct? For selector, sorry, for replication controller, and purposefully I'm using the same. Let's see. I'm using the same label for my separate pod. This is not created. This is not part of RC. It is outside the RC. Correct. But the label is same. I mean, RC is already running with three pods with some label app is equal to test something. Now I'm trying to create another pod separately outside the RC with same label. But what's happening here? It is not letting us create. What's happening is because of the same label we are using, and our application controller, what it's thinking is like oh, the label is same. Maybe this pod belongs to me, something like that. Let's do it one more time. Okay. Let's first delete hyphen f test as well as what is it RC. Sorry, I can't provide two. That's I forgot that. Not form. Oh yeah, correct. It didn't create it at all. RC. RC is deleted now. No pods. Correct. Now first apply the this one pod, my separate pod. It will be created obviously. So it's running test. The pod name is fine, but the label is we are using same as RC. Correct. Now let's kubectl apply hyphen f rc.yml. It's created. Get pods. Let's wait. See, now if you observe, only two are created. But I told three, right? But why only two? See, it won't create another one because there is already a pod running with the same label as this replication controller. That's why when creating a replication controller, what's happening is it is trying to create three. But RC found out that okay, there is already a pod running with the same label. It means I need to create only two. Desired is three. I requested three, but one is already running because of the label, the same label. So I'll just create two. Now if I delete the pod whichever I created, obviously it will create the pod. That's how RC works. But there is one disadvantage here. Let's say kubectl delete pod. If I delete this pod, let's say which is created by RC, right? Any of these pods, I mean two are there, I'll just do any of these. It will create obviously, see, 3 seconds. But if I delete the pod test, it won't work. Let's try. A test pod is not created. Of course, it's created another pod called replication controller. I mean, through the replication controller. But the test pod we have created separately, but that won't be recreated. Even though RC thinks that it's part of replication controller because of the same label, it won't recreate that. That might be a little disadvantage. Correct. What I want is I want to have if there is a pod already running with the same label as this RC, you should merge that pod into this one. But that's not happening. So test is running already with same label. I mean, it consider it as okay, this is also part of RC replication controller, but it does not merge it like this. I mean, if I delete this pod, it will recreate. The same action won't happen here because RC not consider this as a part of that as a part of that. That's why this is happening. And of course, once you create RC, once you try to create new pod, after creating the RC with the same label, it will merge, but not before. This became a little disadvantage at the time. That's why there is a new thing called ReplicaSet. ReplicaSet. Maybe yeah, ReplicaSet. Same thing. This also does the same thing. Sorry. Create the pods, the number of pods, whatever we mentioned, and maintains the desired number of pods based on our request. That's it. That's exactly like replication controller, right? Replication controller also does the same thing. Just we'll just define how many pods we want, and it will maintain that number. Correct? Same thing. ReplicaSet also will do. Maintain that number of pods. Usually nowadays no one uses replication controller very rarely because it's a little old. People use ReplicaSet only. Why? What advantage that it brings us? The advantage that it brought us is this one we just discussed, right? If a standalone pod is running with the same label as this one, what is it? Replication controller. Replication controller does not merge the pod into its uh, into thinking as its own. It does not do anything. I mean, the scaling, whatever the feature won't available for that pod. But let's say there is a standalone pod running with app test label and replication controller. We created the replica set. Now immediately replica set merge that pod into as part of this. Thinking that okay, there is a label, there is a pod running with my label replica set. It will automatically merge that pod into this. That's the difference. That's the only difference. I mean, of course, there is one more, but this is the major difference. Why replica set? You got what I'm saying, right? The difference. You have seen it here. So we created a pod separately, and after that created RC with the same label. But of course, RC is not created one more pod. But these features, whatever have these pods, once you delete it, will recreate. This feature does not have to this test pod because it's not part of RC. But with replica set, if I let's say test is already running, and I did like created a replication set with 3 number, automatically this pod also will be merged with these two, like that. You can try that, no problem. It will delete -f rc and test.yaml. I told you the name can be anything, don't worry. So it's etl get it's terminating. It will take some. Let's go. Now how to write the RC? Sorry, RC is okay. We write like this. Now what? How to write replica set? There are only few changes. We'll see that. Of course, kind is replica set. REPLIKECT replica set. The API version is changed. Now API version will be apps/v1 because this replica set is available in this API version apps/v1. So I have to use that. How do I know? I know it from the documentation. That's all. Name, okay, test RC, maybe test RS. I'll give. I mean, it's fine. You can give anything, but just for clarification. Replica 513 selector is fine. Selector we need to add one more thing called match labels. Wait. Match labels, and of course this has to be inside. That's the only difference. This won't change. This is pod template. This will change nothing. And specs. This will also change nothing. These are containers we want. I told you, right? If any resource you are creating, the template and the below spec will be same because that's related to pod. So we are just creating the pod, so it will be same. Only this will be changed. So what are changed? Of course, kind has to be changed. API version kind based on what you are creating. Name is fine. I mean, it's fine. Now one major change is match labels. Earlier we just used a selector and app test. So now we are using match labels. I mean inside selector and inside the match labels we kept. You may ask like why this? I mean, so the way we define the selectors is different between replication controller and replica set. There are two differences. One is, as I told earlier, if there is a pod running with same label as replica set, it will automatically merge that pod into its own, which replication controller didn't do it. That's one major thing. Another major thing is the way we define the selectors and labels. That is changed. So there are two things. I mean, the way we define the label. Let's go to RC. This is RC. RC supports equity-based selectors. These are called equity-based selectors. It's like is equal to only, but in ML language. Of course, we are using colon, but underlining it is equal to for for ML. We can use like this also. Equity-based means is equal to not is equal to. That's what it is. So since we are using is equal to like this, what will be not is equal to? Like this we can define. So equity based selectors. So we just match resources exactly. I want this, I want this. Let's say now if I define like this, it means if the selector, whatever the label is, app is equal to test, then only do it. We are precisely telling with equity based selectors. Set based selectors will change a little. But, of course, set based selectors won't support by RC. Set based selectors will be supported by this guy. What are set based selectors? We have operators supported. In, not in, exist, does not exist like this. Let's try match labels here. Correct. Now the match labels we use. Let's say we want to use match. Well, still we are using equity based selectors only. App is equal to test. I mean colon test. Which means equity based selectors. But there is one more thing called set based selector based on set. Like condition we can add, like if this value is present, okay, it's okay. But I mean that's how set based selectors work. Equity means it has to match exactly, then only it will work. Set based means, let's say I'll write like, hey, if app is equal to my app, if sorry, app is equal to test, right? If app is equal to test or test one, okay, it's fine. I mean, you can create it. So like that, multiple kind of conditions we can able to add, multiple values we can able to pass. Let me try. So set, what happens is selectors match expression we have to use. Match expressions, and of course this will be gone. Here will come the operators key app. That's what app colon test. That's what we did, right? So key will be app operator in, sorry, capital in, not in, like this we can able to add anything, any label. Operator value, what is the value? Test, right? For us, it has to be test. Values you can add test. So if the matching expression, the expression is matched, with app is equal to test, it will work. Or let's say have multiple values. So values we can define like this: test, test one. If any of these value matches, it's okay, because we gave two values, multiple options for that. So if any of these value matches, it will take it. Similarly, anything, any value. The difference here is it will accept multiple, labels and selectors. But in RC, I mean replication controller, it's equity based selector, whether it is equal to or not is equal to equity based selectors. But in this one, replica set, it supports equity based selectors as well as set based selectors. There is a concept called set based selectors where we can define expressions. So it means it will accept the multiple values. So set based selectors are like, to allows us to match multiple values. Got it? So this is one of the example. So we have in, not in, as I showed you, and there are exist also. Let's say example. I'll not just app is equal to test. I'll have maybe like name is equal to something, ABC something. You can use the same thing here. Key is equal to name. The value is equal to ABC. There is one more thing called exist or not exist. We can check like if the key exists or not in a specific resource. Sorry. So here what happens is, like, what is advantage with the labels is we can filter even more. We can filter even more. I mean, that's why equity based just is equal to, not is equal to. That's it. That's the only thing. But in replica set, we have these match expressions where we can filter even more. That's it. Why we filter it? Why we filter it? because we need to sync these two things, and as well as any standalone pod is running, so that also. Let's copy it, create a file called rs, not YAML. YAML are all same. I told you already. Simply paste it. First, what you do, dry run. Always dry run, because if any errors, it will show you. Otherwise, if you run without dry run, it will create. But if there are some errors, it will stuck in between, right? You have to delete all of them again, create them. It will be, not good. Sorry, right. Spelling. No. Yeah, no issues. Now let's remove the dry run. It's created. Of course, kubectl get rs replica set now rs. Earlier it was RC replication controller. Kubectl get PO. Cool, it's creating. See, obviously same feature is there here. So delete a pod, it will automatically recreate again. Just right. Yes. Yeah. See, it's created automatically. So that it's common feature. Now let's try our thing. Let's try to keep it. Sorry, let's check. Obviously, if I run after creating RC, it will merge. I can test. Sorry, RS. It's created, but see, it's only 3 because the same label. Now let's delete the RS. I have to pass the -f, otherwise it won't work. Correct. If I do test, obviously not created. Now let's create the pod first. It's created the pod. Cool. Pod is running. Now let's create RC. RF. Sorry. kubectl apply -f rs. Yes. It's created. Now let's check the pod. Now it's there. Oh, of course, just like earlier, it's created only 2 pods because third one is already exist. Now try kubectl get rs. Yeah, it's showing 3 because obviously it will show. So until now it is good, correct? Until now it is working same as RC replication controller. So also RC also showed the same same thing for us, same action for us. So there is a pod already with label, and that's why it's created only 2. Same with RC. Now if I delete some pod, let's say I'll delete first this one just to test. It will obviously recreate. So we have seen that, correct? Get pod, sorry. Now I'll delete the test pod. Let's see if this creates or not. It should create as per our thing. It should create as per the advantage of. It's created. See, one more pod. But of course, here there won't be any. I mean, it won't recreate the pod with the same name, test. That's obviously because now since it's part of RC, it will create the label, some random label, whatever we give on the name, whatever we give. That's about RS. Sorry, sorry, ReplicaSet. I'm confusing between these two. Replication controller and ReplicaSet, both are same, used for the same purpose to create pods and maintain the number of pods based on our requirement. It will just try to maintain the numbers. Hey, I want 100 pods. It will do it, of course. Your system should handle it. I mean, the memory and things should be present. I can do anything. Let's say I open RS file. Now I got, okay, hey, where is it? Yeah, I want 5 pods. Maybe 3 might not be enough for me. Simply just change the file, apply it. Of course, you change the file, you have to apply it. That's the rule. Applied, configured, get. Oh, see 5 pods. See, see, just creating within fraction of second. It's not even waiting. Of course, if there is any error, it will wait. It will throw. But observe that no, it's not even waiting for a second. That's how fast Kubernetes it is. That's how it became easy for us to deploy any application in Kubernetes. Same thing if you want to deploy your application, let's say Tomcat or Nginx, a normal VM, how much time it usually takes? 2 to 3 minutes usually. But imagine the same for 100 servers, lots of time. I can't calculate it, but on average it will say 1 to 2 hours. More than 5 hours. I'm saying. But here I'm just creating 100 pods with ease, just 5 seconds, not even five, maybe 5 seconds. Let's say 10 seconds. See the difference. That's how that's why people use Kubernetes. That's how it is easy. I mean, of course, the setup might be a little, you know, confusing, but it's once it is done, no one can stop that. No one can, take it down. That's how easy it is. Of course, yeah. That's about, replication controller. Of course, no one uses replication controller nowadays. By the time even, maybe I don't remember the year, 2019 or something. By the time only people stopped using replication controller. Mostly people use replica set. Not even that. There is one more thing that we'll see tomorrow. That's one of the major important things. Don't worry about that. It's very easy. Do remember that if you are creating a pod, this template won't change. I mean, it will only change maybe in the container, the names, image, something. The change will come only here, no matter what. Correct? Yeah, that's okay. But that's it for today. So do practice. I hope you understood what I'm saying. I know it's not
Yeah.
that.
So the main difference,
Sorry?
sorry, the the main difference between RC and RS is set equity and set based, right?
Equity based. Equity based selectors is equal to, sorry, we haven't used it here.
Is replication controller and set based is for replica set, right?
Yes. Equity based selectors is for replication controller. Set based selectors is for replica set. Someone asked me the same question in
Okay.
interview when I was giving, last year. What is the difference between replica set and replication controller? Two differences. One is this one, the labels are set and equity based. I mean, replica set supports both equity based and set based, but controller will support only equity based because it's an older thing, so does not support. And what is the other major difference? So if there is a pod running with the same label as replica set, it will merge that pod into that one. But the replication controller didn't do that as we expected. These two only the difference. Remain working all same. Create the pods, maintain them. That's it. That's what it does.
Okay. And now we are already running I mean 5 pods,
Yeah.
right? Can we now
Three.
like we can start? No. Instead of 3, can we start the normal pod where we have a
Let's
label
try.
of
Let's sit here.
replica, right?
Apply hyphen. Yeah, we don't allow. We tried it. Yeah, let's try. It's created. It seems.
So now we can see 6 pod,
It
right?
won't. I told you it will merge that
Okay.
pod into RC. Sorry, RS. You won't see the pod.
Okay.
Once replication controller or replica set is created and later you creating the pod, it won't allow you to create because it's the same label and it thinks that you're creating sixth pod manually without updating the manifest file. So it won't allow you to create. If you try to delete
Okay.
it, you sit here, delete hyphen s test. See, it's not found. It's not even created. It's not even allowing to create. That's all. You got it? Sorry, got it? Can you hear my
Yes.
voice?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes.
So I know what is it? It's not that difficult. I mean, like to write files. I hope this one, as I told you, I mean, the blind thing, right? Remember the blind thing that this won't change. Even tomorrow we'll see some similar kind of thing, a different one to create pods and manage pods. Maybe two we'll see tomorrow. For them also same. This won't change. Only this. Maybe this also will be same. Maybe except this might change. That's it. One or two very small changes. Because no one uses kubectl run command, to create the pods. No, everyone uses the files, obviously. So you've seen it. How do you create three pods? You can't do with command like kubectl run. No, it won't work like that. You have to use file only. That's all. Got it? And yeah, to practice. Yeah, that's all. You'll understand. I mean, once you start working on it, once you start practicing it, obviously you'll get it. I mean, what we are discussing about. Got it?
Yeah.
Is it clear? Today's class? Any doubts so far? What is replication controller? What is set? Anything? I take it as no. If
Not today.
yeah. So do practice. We'll meet tomorrow same time. Got it? Tomorrow also same thing. Sorry. Let's talk about tomorrow. Why now? Let's do practice first. Yeah. Bye. Bye all. Bye everyone.